Night in Paradise, new Korean film available on Netflix. It's a crime thriller mixed with a slow exploration of nihilism, betrayal, and vengeance. In the prologue, we meet Taegu, who is a member of the Korean mafia. His closest family are all killed, and he learns that this was a move done by the rival faction of the mafia. As revenge, he kills the other family boss, and in order to escape the ensuing chaos between the two groups, because a war erupts, he gets out to a rural island off the coast of Korea, where he stays at the house of an old connected guy who now continues to sell weapons, and his niece Jae Young, who is this weird, kind of cold and disconnected girl, as we soon learn, because of a terminal disease that she has. And as trouble quickly comes looking back for Taegu, the two of them will be forced to kind of work together to, well, that is the central question. To what? To survive, to right the wrongs done to them, to fix the situation, or just to die in peace, very simply. So it's really a kind of atmospheric movie, and it has an interesting pace where it starts off with a really quick setup, and then as soon as we move on the island, things slow down for a large part of the film until they pick up speed again for the final act. That's done very deliberately, as the period between all the ultra-violent action is meant to be this sort of philosophical journey for the characters. Both of the protagonists end up in this unique situation where they basically lost their main reason to live and are also themselves living on borrowed time. She will eventually get beaten by health problems, he faces the inevitable retribution from the mafia, and so they both kind of face the question, you know, what am I living for? Is there a purpose for me? Should I just give up? Is there a point in fighting against the world that is so clearly unjust and shitty and filled with despicable, treacherous people? So we join the protagonists on this little internal trip, but as that's going on, the movie continues to also develop the mafia angle, which I thought was also really interesting. The dynamics between the two bosses and the corrupt police detective, their conversations together, and the eventual hunt for Taegu. It's a story that seems a bit weird at the beginning, but as we learn more and more details, it starts to make more and more sense, and reveals its true image as this kind of horrible tragedy for everybody involved. And so I think even from this angle, we can talk about exploring nihilism as a philosophy. That's something that the movie is doing. And as bookends for the film, the opening and the final acts are much more dynamic and violent and done really well. They do fit the story thematically, but also serve as a kind of contrast to the moments of peace in between. It's well written, it's well acted, nicely shot. It's a very specific, cold and distant atmosphere to it. I think it's not exactly the perfect movie if you want an action-packed film, because for a large part it is a rather slow and introspective story. But if you're okay with that, then I think it's really a solid watch.